Thanksgiving approaches, many of us find ourselves navigating the complex dynamics of family gatherings, often filled with love, laughter, and the occasional drama. While the holidays is a time for gratitude and connection, it can also bring challenging emotions, time pressures, and the need to balance our energy. Our next guest says it is essential to set clear boundaries so we can fully enjoy the day while protecting our time, emotions, and overall well-being. Joining me now is lifestyle expert Anastasia Turchetta. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I hope you are too.
I am. And man, Thanksgiving's going to be here before we know it.
Yes.
And now is the time to set those boundaries.
It really is. We going off of what Martha had said in a show that was here earlier. It is important to look and outline what you're going to do. So for example, identify those triggers. That would be the first thing that I would say to do, because when we go into it, we're planning the road trip, we're planning our airfare, we're planning dinner and all the things that are around it, but we forget that sometimes those are the exact things. It could be the most stressful time of the year instead of the most wonderful time of the year.
So what are some things that we can do ahead of time to kind of avert any problems or drama?
That's a great question, Gail, and I would say first thing is to identify the trigger. A lot of people don't even understand what that is, and basically what a trigger is identifying your emotional response to a comment, a behavior. Maybe it's a pattern of somebody in your family that just places you at unrest. Maybe you're frustrated, you're stressed, and then that provokes a reaction. And we have to understand that, well, that's all good to recognize it. We also have to communicate, what do we need to stay centered, to stay grounded, to basically keep our peace, to stay happy, and then communicate that assertively and add consequences onto that.
And so if you have those expectations with yourself, like you're kind of talking yourself off the ledge before the drama, because inevitably there can be drama.
There's going to be drama.
Someone's going to say something, but if you already have thought it through in your mind, you're not caught off guard.
Exactly. So let's just say, for example, people have plans for you to come over. So it could be your in-laws, maybe it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever that is. Then there's an allotted amount of time. And sometimes we feel so obligated to stay the entire day, but we really don't want to. So you don't want to say like, I'm out of here, I can't take this. Just instead, look at what your day looks like. Maybe you want to spend your day with family and chosen family. So then you would say, hey, we're going to be here, early for dinner, help you clean up, and then we're going to go spend some time with our friends. We're looking forward to spending time with you and making the most of this time together. That way they feel heard and you feel respected, and everybody knows how to manage the expectations of time, and you're in charge of your own time.
Now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, the sadness that comes with the holidays for many of us. Because,
yes.
I look at my own life and there have been so many changes. I've lost my parents. My family is a bit fragmented. Everybody's everywhere. And I'm now in that position where I'm chasing a daughter down in Boston to celebrate a little bit with her. And then one's coming in for college. And so I'm all over the place and it doesn't feel as whole as it used to. So how do you deal with those emotions?
You deal with those emotions by recognizing them, like either the triggers or something that is being mindful, being self-aware, because you're going to feel nostalgic.
Yeah.
So as a mom, you might feel nostalgic as to what was, or you may feel the sadness of missing your parents because, having them at the dinner table, maybe it was something that they made, or maybe you had a tradition that you did every single year. So the way that you would deal with that is to give yourself permission to feel that and, sit with it, and then share with your husband or with your girls to say, you know what? I may have a mixture of emotions coming up. I can feel some sadness setting in. And if I need to just, take a step back just to honor my parents, however that is, maybe you want to create a new tradition, then just say, you know what, if I disappear for just a moment or two, that's what I'm doing. I'm just honoring my parents, and I'm giving myself permission to get through this grief, because grief is love.
Yeah, grief is love. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Any advice on setting limits on holiday time spent? Because sometimes these things, we only have 30 seconds, but sometimes these things can get lengthy.
Sometimes they can be. So know what your limit is with time. So when you're looking at it with your husband and you're gathering all the things together, as best you can, try to chunk that time, and then also set your boundaries and practice them so you can communicate them effectively, so that way you can enforce them and make sure you have those consequences together, because that takes time too, and that way you can just sail on through the holidays.
All right, that's great advice. We're going to share Anastasia's advice on bloomtampabay.com.